Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Reviewing Comics with me, Alex Turbin. This week we're going to be doing Death Hawk, uh, put out by Adventure Comics. But before that, I want to show you some of my stuff that hopefully can help support the channel. I produce a comic called Random Access, which I give out to my patrons every month for $2 a month. It's a 12-page full color, full size comic book. Um, these are the older ones, which weren't cover color. Um, and we're up to issue 13 is coming out this month. You can get those at Patreon, like I said, for $2 a month, or you can go to my website, alexanderturbin.com, and you can get them there. That has all of my random access and Mutandis and all of my other stuff. And you can contact me at Instagram at alexturbin04401. And yep, and if you enjoy this video, I hope you decide to subscribe and like and all that notification bell and stuff like that. So this week we're doing Death Hawk #1. It's famous for the penciler. Um, the writer is Mark Ellis, and the pencils are by Adam Hughes, and the inks by Dan McKinnon, and the cover by Dave Dorman. Really, the cover is worth entry all on its own. It is a beautiful cover, just like all of the Adventure Comics covers. They're beautiful. Sometimes they far too outstrip the interiors of the comic, and sometimes I really don't like that. There's nothing worse than loving the cover of the comic and then just being let down by the interiors. Uh, Fortunately, this doesn't happen here. Um, Dave does a great job, and the insides are fantastic still. So the penciler is Adam Hughes, who goes on to do great stuff in really a lot of different comics. X-Men in particular, I think of. He's really known for drawing his women. He draws some really beautiful women. But really overall, his stuff is just fantastic. Um, the story is really, it's pretty good. It's kind of my only complaint is really it's kind of generic, something you would find on the Sci-Fi Channel, which isn't always bad. It's not always good. It's kind of always hit or miss. The story is pretty generic. You've got this bounty hunter slash working space guy. It reminds me quite a bit of Space Hunter, the movie with Molly Ringwald, um, which I love anyway. So there's a lot about this. I like the story. It's a bounty hunter, and he's on this planet, and he's tracking an artifact, and these locals have kidnapped the uh, archaeologists or people trying to find the artifact themselves, and he saves the day. And there's a woman um, who is one of the archaeologists or whatever, trying to get the artifact herself, and he saves her. But then she knocks him out because she's doing some nefarious deeds. He has a partner, which is a protoplasmic ooze uh, that's psychic, and that's probably the most interesting and unique uh, thing of the whole book. Um, Adam Hughes, he carries the story. He really does. If this was done by a mediocre or lesser illustrator, I think that reading this would be quite a slog. It's not that it's bad. The dialogue is pretty good. The writing is actually pretty solid. It's just seen that, done that better. So I mean, it's difficult to um, really get into a story that you feel is generic and you feel like you've seen before 100 times before and lots of times better. Um, like I said, the art is very, very great. You see little hints of how fantastic Adam Hughes is going to be. The inker is really quite good too. I don't think he downplays Adam Hughes' art at all. Uh, there are of course better inkers that will later on have a much softer style, or maybe Adam just inks himself. I don't really remember. Um, but the inker does a pretty good job, pretty decent job. Uh, he definitely works up to his potential, I think. Um, it's the narrative art is first rate. Everything works really well. Uh, so anyway, the woman gets away with the artifact, and she goes to her mob bosses, and Deathhawk finds them at a gambling place, and they gamble, and he gets the artifact back, which is actually her. The artifact has somehow been transferred into her bloodstream or DNA or something like that. And so that's basically it. Um, like I said, the story is decent. Um, would I read it again? I probably would never read this ever again, if I remembered it. And that's probably one of the detriments to this book is I don't remember from when the first time that I read it, which is really too bad. I kind of feel like that's how all of the adventure books are. I mean, they have beautiful covers. Some of them have some really nice interiors, and they have really great ideas. You can see in the back it has a lot of different adventurers books. They've got some great, really great, solid ideas, and really I think could be great characters, but they never go anywhere. Um, I think just maybe the writing is just uh, I don't know. It's hard to pinpoint exactly what it is that I don't really like about the writing. Other than I'm just feel let down. I mean, look at this fantastic piece of artwork, and I feel like if I read that, I would it would just be kind of maybe boring. Um, a lot of writers' problems, myself included, is they're very event oriented. Like this happens, then this happens, and this happens, and you're never really surprised about what happens. Um, the dialogue may be great, the scripting might be really unique and whatnot. But if it's just event, and that's how the story goes, and that's how the plot is driven, without any kind of surprises or unique elements, then people really don't respond to that. Um, it's a very hard thing. It's not an easy thing because uh, a lot of times when you're writing something and you're writing um, to a logical conclusion, then what can you do to spice things up? And I think that they just didn't have that thing about them, the writing team on this, that made it special. I don't know how many issues this went, but I think people kind of probably realized that it didn't really have that it factor. Um, they go on in the beginning about how Deathhawk started and where it was going to go, where it came from, and that was very interesting because it came from another title. Um, and they he goes back and forth as to what characters there were, and I think maybe that's kind of the problem is there wasn't a solid vision. I feel like if there isn't a solid vision for what your character is and where he's going and where he's been, then I think maybe the book might falter a little bit. And that's probably what I'm feeling, because it's not the art. I love the art. Look at this; it's beautiful. Um, the line work is gorgeous. He goes into this little stuff a little too much here. It doesn't really happen in the later, where it's lots of cross hatching and stuff. It doesn't go into that later on. It's more the tight, clean line work, which I much more prefer for Hughes's art. Um, Great silhouettes, great blacks, great silhouettes when they're needed. It's just fantastic. It's beautiful art. He's top notch. I've never considered Adam Hughes one of my favorites. Um, I'll have to think about why not. Maybe it's because there just isn't that uniqueness to it. Um, like you look at McFarlane and there's just this uniqueness. You look at Frank Miller, there's just uniqueness, and it's beautiful. I would always get uh, Adam Hughes stuff if I could see it, if I could find it. Um, it's beautiful stuff, like I said. Um, Overall, I would have to give this, the cover is gorgeous. Like I said, it's worth having just for the cover. Uh, Overall, I would have to say I would give this an 8. The artwork really carries the day. Um, and Death Hawk. I think if maybe if it had a different title, different name for the character, it's just a little bit too over the top, um, and doesn't deserve the name. I think of Deathhawk and I think of um, something really over the top and crazy, but we don't really get that here. So yeah, it's a nice comic, great, beautifully drawn, beautifully illustrated, gorgeous cover. Uh, well written, but just doesn't have that it factor. I might have to try to figure out what exactly that it factor is. Um, but yeah, a good solid 8. Thanks for watching, and again, if you would like more reviews like this, consider subscribing and have a great one.